Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting episode of Jerry's Garage Talk. Sitting alongside me as always, and what are we going to call you this week?
Well, today, Jerry, I've thought long and hard on this, and today I'd like to be called the Maxinator. That's right, the Maxinator.
Okay, it's not Nick.
No.
It's not Max.
Oh, no.
It's not Booger Monkey.
No, no,
That's not Rock.
Oh, no.
Not Little Nicky.
No, no,
It's the Maxinator.
Maxinator.
All right, Maxinator. Tell our guest here what we did over the weekend.
Well, we had a great opportunity to go see one of the best graphic artists in the area. Custom painted vehicles.
CPV.
CPV, that's right. This man is I don't know.
Genius.
He's a genius, absolutely. Some of the work in their showroom is just phenomenal, to use one of Jerry's words. These guys are so good that they're one of the few people that Harley Davidson will send tanks and fenders to because the guy can match paint so well.
These guys were, like you said, absolutely phenomenal. They're right up here in Wisconsin, in
Franksville, I believe it is, right.
Right across the state line here. And we got hooked up with him with our good friend Jhan Dolphin, who used to be with Real Wheels. He told us about these guys. These are the guys that painted the Mind Freak vehicle. We used to talk to Jan. He'd come on our show when we had a radio gig, and he'd be talking about the Mind Freak with Chris Angel.
Chris Angel, absolutely.
They are the ones that painted it. They also painted the Dream Police vehicle. And we talk about that in this episode. These guys are simply amazing. You're not going to want to miss that. So don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. And you're watching Jerry's Garage Talk
on GoFlow.com.
Welcome back to another adventure of Jerry's Garage Talk. The only place you can see us is right here on GoFlow.com. A couple of weeks ago, I reached out to an old friend, Jhan Dolphin, and I said, hey, Jan, we're doing a new adventure. We're doing Jerry's Garage Talk on a video, and you weren't at the same place. You've now started your own company. Welcome to the show, Jan, and what are you doing now?
Great to be here. No, I'm a consultant. I work with a lot of small businesses. I'm still working in the automotive aftermarket, still building vehicles, but doing my own thing.
All right, so I reached out to Jan. I said, hey, Jan, we're looking to do a couple different shows. He goes, Jer, I got just the place I want you to come. So tell our viewers where we're at and what we're doing here today.
We're here at CPV, Custom Painted Vehicles in Racine. I've used CPV numerous times for some of the highest profile vehicle projects that I've built. And right here, it's local, right off 94, and it's easy to get to. It just worked out really well.
Now, how did you get involved with CPV?
You know, honestly, seeing them on the highway. I mean,
okay.
A lot of people travel between Chicago and Milwaukee. They're right on the west side of 94, and you know, you see custom painted vehicles. As a car guy, it gets your attention, and I had to stop in. And once I walked into the showroom, I knew that I was in the right place. And talking to Donna, Jay, Steve about some of the projects we were working on, you can just kind of tell when somebody gets it. And you know, the rest is history. I think we've done, I don't know, 5 or 6 different vehicles.
Let's talk about some of the vehicles that you've done. What was the first vehicle you guys kind of did together?
Yeah, the first one we worked on together was a race rescue truck we did with kind of a tribute to all the men and women in motorsports safety.
Okay.
And it was a great vehicle, and it was an award-winning vehicle. We won a lot of the GM awards at SEMA. And then it just went from there. We ended up doing a couple real high-profile vehicles, the Mind Freak Hummer.
I remember that.
Angel.
Yes. Describe that a little bit, how that was kind of cool.
That vehicle turned out to be close to $450,000 worth of truck.
That's
wow.
why we couldn't drive it.
Exactly. He wouldn't let us drive it.
No. And, you know, the thing about that is that was supposed to be a 1-year tour.
Okay.
The vehicle was going to go on, and then it was going to go out and be part of Chris Angel's event. And that thing was on television at least a dozen times. It was on his show numerous times. He used it for an illusion. It traveled around the country, went back to SEMA a second time, was at the Consumer Electronics Show numerous times, and today it's still on display at the Luxor Resort.
Oh my God.
And we're talking, you know, that's been almost, I think, 5 years ago.
And then didn't you guys also do a Cheap Trick vehicle as well?
Yeah, that's my favorite. It's a rock and roll themed vehicle.
All right.
We knew we wanted something really, dramatic as far as a paint scheme.
All right.
And we came to Jay and the crew here, and they did it. And that rock and roll theme with Cheap Trick is that vehicle's still around. And again, that had a 1-year tour plan.
Right.
And it's going on 2.5 years now, I guess. So that vehicle is so popular, so attention getting. And every time we take it out, it's in the details. That's what people look for, is all those little minute things that get your attention.
And let's talk about the Dream Please. That was one of my favorite one as well. The murals on both sides. Kind of, you were sharing a story with me on how you kind of had an idea and you came here and you were talking to Jay and Steve and you're like, this is what I want to do. But you got a little bit nervous.
Well, anytime you're working with a celebrity,
right,
and like the rock band, and one of the ideas that they had here at CPV was, that Dream Police album with Cheap Trick came out in '79.
Right.
And yet we're kind of celebrating the 30th anniversary when we released that vehicle. So the idea here with CPV was they were going to paint a mural of the guys' faces as they would appear on that album cover 30 years ago on one side, and on the other side how they look today, because these guys are still rocking, they're still out touring, and you get a little nervous because you're going to paint someone's face.
Right.
All right? There's not a lot of artists that are going to nail that where someone's going to be able to walk up and go, I know who that is.
Right.
And the last thing we wanted to do is anger our relationship with Cheap Trick.
Right.
And these guys nailed it. They were not only perfect, but the band loved it. And that's a big deal when you get your own face painted on something and you can say,
Well, on one side is what they looked like back 30 years ago, but then on the other side is how they look today, right?
It just turned out fantastic, yeah.
Wow.
It's one of the best we've ever done.
Well, we're going to talk to these guys here in just a minute on some of the procedures and some of the techniques we have, and you're going to see some of the vehicles. You're going to send us some pictures so we can put that up as well, right?
Absolutely.
All right, so we're at CPV, stands for what, Custom Paint Vehicles?
Custom painted vehicles. Again, they're doing a lot more than that. They're doing the wraps now on big trucks and trailers. They do a lot of motorcycle work, and when I can get them to give me the time, they're doing custom vehicle stuff.
Fantastic. All right, so stay tuned. We're going to be talking to the owner, Jay Donna, and her son, Steve, and they're going to tell us some of their techniques and some of the cool things they do here at CPV. You're watching Jerry's Garage Talk
on GoFlow.com.
Welcome back to Jerry's Garage Talk. That's right. The only place you can catch us is at GoFlow.com. If you're just tuning in, we've got our friend Jhan Dolphin finally out here with us this morning, and he brought us to CPV, and we've got some hotshot over here. Who's this guy?
We got Steve Wright, Custom Painted Vehicles. Steve's one of the crew here that gets it done.
So how did you guys meet? Did Jhan come on over here and say, hey, I want you to paint a Cheap Trick vehicle for me? Is that what he's... how did this kind of work out?
Well, one day he came here, he showed up and came into the showroom, and I met him, and he presented an idea about doing a paint job on, the first vehicle was the Hummer, and it was the rescue vehicle.
Yeah, yeah.
And so we talked about some of his ideas, and that kind of kicked off our relationship.
You couldn't get to the door to lock it, could you?
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about your company here. You guys are family owned and operated. You're one of the sons that are working in the business here. How did you guys kind of come about to do what you do? I mean, you're not a normal body shop by any means.
Right, we're not a collision shop at all.
Okay.
We're completely dedicated to the custom market. So my parents, Donna and Jay, they started out in the conversion van industry. Although my dad he's an incredible artist, an airbrush artist. But they began doing airbrush work, custom paint work for conversion vans and on motorcycles and other avenues, and just grew the business over the years. We've been at this location for over 15 years.
So how did they talk you into coming into the business with them and say that you were going to be a painter as well?
I grew up in the paint shop.
All right.
So my earliest memories are 4 years old, helping my dad mask off vehicles, scuff and prep vehicles. I've always been by his side painting, and I was painting my friends' bicycles when I was 11 years old. So I grew up in it.
You knew this is what you're going to be doing.
Yeah, it just happened that way. So.
You know, we had a few years back, we had an opportunity to talk to George Barris. And he was telling us one of the first thing he did is he was customizing his wagon.
Right.
And he went and took all his mother's knobs off of her covers, which, by the way, I believe he said cost him a whooping.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
good old George.
What's
yes.
your first memory, your first little deal? Well, you know what, Dad, I can do this.
My first memory was actually holding a roll of masking paper for my dad as he would pull the paper out. We would tape up the side.
About how old were you at the time?
4.
4 years old.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's worth $1.
We were talking off. It was worth $1. We were talking off camera a little bit, Jan, about how you were talking about how their dedication and when the customers that come in here. Kind of elaborate a little bit on that.
Well, you know, because I think that's true, and I think it was even an eye-opener for me. I mean, I've always been a car guy, and I've been lucky enough to have vehicles and attend like big shows like the SEMA show.
Right.
I've been to Europe for the Essen Motor Show, and you know, you get a little spoiled because you go to all these events and you see the best of the best. So you're seeing all these custom painted vehicles and the work and the airbrush work and the illustration that's done. And you kind of assume that, oh, I'm going to go out and get a paint job and that's what you're going to get. And yet there's so many guys out there that, you know, either they think they can paint or it's a hobby, you know, and good for them, they're enjoying it. But when that guy is going to save all that money and he decides he wants that custom paint job for his vehicle or he's going to create a show vehicle, you don't just go to anybody.
Well, you've kind of found out the hard way a couple times too, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, we've been there where you kind of say, okay, well, this guy's going to paint something, and then all of a sudden you see the specs and the dust and you know, he didn't have a clean facility, or he couldn't do a color match when you had a little damage to a fender, and, you know, all of a sudden that's costly. And it's just better to do it right the first time, and that's one of the things why we've kind of stuck here and done so much work with CPV.
See, you guys, have you ever had a project where you were given full reign? Have you ever got to where it was a point where it's snowballing and ideas are coming out and you have to stop yourself?
Yeah, I think that you can overdo the design process and actually give a customer too many ideas or options where they get lost and confused in it. So you really have to take what the customer's basic ideas are and stay focused and develop those in a practical way that meets their budget, which is important, but also keeps them on target so that in the end they get what they really wanted. And that is a skill that we've developed over the years that just comes by experience. There's no other way.
Now you had a question too, Nick, as far as protecting. You know, you see some of the stuff here behind us. It is truly art, or what you guys are doing.
I would be afraid to have something happen to
Exactly.
it. I mean, I'm looking at tailgates that belong on the wall. Well, it is on the wall.
Right.
I mean, it's a piece of art, frankly, and I would be, obviously, the expense of having it done for me, but I wouldn't want it ruined.
So what do you do? Is there a protective coating that you can put on there so that it doesn't get chipped, or a rock or a crack or something like that on there?
Some kind of protection to a degree.
Yeah, well, you know, artwork is done in base coat color, and then everything is clear coated. One of the things that we've done is we have committed ourselves to only using the most premium products on the market. And that means that you spend a little more money, not always a little more, sometimes a lot more.
Okay.
But you use those products and you use products that work. But everything gets a high degree of clear coat, and sometimes it'll get sanded and re-cleared, and then also it'll be buffed out to that mirror finish. So.
I've seen some of these colors that are here. These are some of the colors. Do you mix them right here?
We do.
How do you keep track of, let's say somebody does come in with a gas tank and you did a custom paint job on it.
4 years ago.
Yeah, how do you know then that, all right, that's the same paint, to try to do a repair on it?
Yeah, we document everything.
Okay.
We keep all of our customers' files on computer and on paper. And as we are developing colors and creating new versions of colors with tweakings of pearls and crystals and different things, we keep track of everything. Everything's measured to the gram. We keep track of all of it.
You have your little formulas.
We do.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah, we're committed to that because sometimes things happen and we want to be able to serve that customer down the road.